2022. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being a part of this edition of news on My Media Prime Television, coming to you live from the Well of the Nation's economic capital. My name is Fon Quinter. Let's begin with religious news. Today is Good Friday, and Roman Catholic Christians at the Our Lady of Annunciation Parish in Nsah, the Douala 5 subdivision, joined their prayers nationwide to commemorate the day. It was set aside to remember the suffering and death of Jesus Christ on Mount Calvary, as Mwanze Enjoyer tells us.
Catholic faithfuls at Our Lady of Annunciation Parish in the Nsah neighborhood in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, joined their counterparts around the world to celebrate Good Friday, a day dedicated to celebrate the death of Jesus Christ. The Catholic faithfuls at the Nsah parish carried out the ritual that depicts the crucifixion of Jesus Christ as a means to remind Christians of the pains Jesus Christ went through to redeem them. It is also seen as a moment of reflection to some Christians who are passing through difficult times to understand that Christ died for their sins, so they should cast their burdens onto him. The Christians also had the opportunity to remind themselves of the journey ahead of them in making to heaven. The Holy Week will end on Sunday with Easter, which is believed by Christians to be the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Away from religious news, a 7.6% increase has been announced on food prices, according to the National Institute of Statistics. In this light, government and stakeholders have been suggesting subsidiary measures to scale through the current economic crisis. Delingande completes the story.
National Institute of Statistics has announced a 7.6% increase in food prices to the charging of Cameroonian consumers. The NIS is confirming what has been hurting them over the past few months relating to the high cost of living. But did anyone see this coming?
I would have been surprised if the prices stayed the way they were, or if they went down. That would be abnormal, because that would not be respecting the principles of economics of demand and supply. I think the war in Ukraine has a bad side to it, but there's also a good and positive side to the war, in the sense that it kicks us around to begin to know how things work. You know, we just sit there in our comfort zones until something dramatic like the war happens. Then we go through these disruptions and we become aware and awake to the fact that it's not as we think.
Meanwhile, the NIS is reporting a hike in the rate of inflation, warning that the trend is likely to continue for quite some time. However, according to Dr. Nick, a social entrepreneur, here is the way forward.
This is a great opportunity that comes to us in Africa, and especially in Cameroon, to say, hey guys, wake up from sleep and begin to grow what you eat. You know, we have been growing what we don't eat. We spend time growing coffee and cocoa. Growing coffee and cocoa is a great thing. It fetches us some hard cash. But why not also grow food that you eat? Because we take the hard cash that we earn from the growing the cocoa and coffee to go import soya beans, import wheat and rice, things that we can also grow and will become richer. So I think this is an eye-opener and a wake-up call, and that's what we should go for. And it also tells us that most of what we've been doing in our universities and our schools of agriculture, we should sit down now and recalibrate ourselves and change our educational system.
Meantime, the common man is left to suffer the pinch while hoping for better days to come.
The governor of the Northwest Region, Adolphe Lele-Lafrique, has condoled with families of 4 penitentiary officials killed by suspected separatist fighters in Bui Division of the Northwest Region. During the visit to the homes of victims yesterday, April 14, 2022, Governor Adolphe Lele reassured families of government assistance. And Northwest correspondent Charles Kiwa completes the story from Bamenda.
After Wednesday, April 13 communique in which Northwest Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique detailed of 4 penitential officers returning from a handing over of command to the newly appointed superintendent of the Nkambe principal prisons. On their return to Bamenda, fell into an ambush by alleged separatist fighters in Bui Division. The 4 who lost their lives include the Northwest Regional Delegate of Penitentiary Administration, Kiga Theodore, Nang Lionel, Service Head of the General Affairs of the Delegation, Afu Nelson, Principal Prison Warder, and Awunu Yannick, a Major Warder. Governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique, Thursday, April 14, 2022, paid a condolence visit to the bereaved families of the penitentiary assassinated by alleged armed separatist fighters. Said a special operation has been launched in Bui Division to track down the killers.
In strong words, those brutal killings have instructed the security services to make sure those who have mutilated, who have killed our collaborators are brought to book, prosecuted.
Conveying the deep concern of the head of state and first lady to the bereaved families, Governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique comforted the families, reassuring the families of the slain penitentiary officers. Government is going to give them assistance during the funeral ceremonies of their loved ones.
Inform them of the instruction given by the head of state to organize a befitting burial for all the victims. And we are meeting on Saturday to agree on a tentative program that will be forwarded to hierarchy in that regard.
The grieving family members will emotionally devastated.
Let's go back to religious news now. Christians at the St. Jerome Cathedral in Mamfe have been reminded that it was out of law for everyone that Christ gave his life as a sacrifice. This was during today's church service, as our Southwest correspondent Moki Regan tells us.
Christians of the St. Joseph Cathedral Mamfe, Manu Division of the Southwest region of Cameroon, has this day joined the world in commemorating the crucifixion of Jesus and his death at Calvary.
Today is Good Friday, and it is a day in which the church remembers the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, giving his life for everyone in the world. It is that day that we remember how Jesus Christ died on the cross on Calvary for my sins, for your sins, and for the sins of the whole world.
Good Friday is a day of grief, penance and fasting for Christians all over the world, which marks the end of Lent, which is a 40 days period of fasting. Today's church service at the St. Joseph Cathedral, Mamfe, Reverend Father Roland Are remind Christians that it is out of Christ's love for everyone that he gave his life as a sacrifice while suffering for the sins of people.
Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Today's story don't change. People that tongue don't change quickly. They start to talk, say, crucify him. We have no other king but Kaiser. That people really they acclaim Jesus. Today they turn their back for him. Even if friends they went enter Jerusalem with them, or they run, them leave it. Jesus, they arrest him, they torture him, they humiliate him, and then kill him for cross.
And it was because of this gesture that humanity got a fresh start, that sins were dismissed. As Christians mourn his crucifixion, they still live in hope for his resurrection come Easter Sunday.
Atanganji Paul, Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, has launched the 2022 edition of the Humanitarian Response Plan worth $376 million. This was yesterday, April 14, 2022 in Yaoundé, Cameroon's capital city. Get details right ahead. In line with government's policy of assisting the vulnerable population, especially refugees and internally displaced persons, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, has launched the 2022 edition of the Humanitarian Response Plan.
I myself have been on the field a couple of times to give assistance to this vulnerable population, Cameroonians and foreigners, because the identity of this country is hospitality.
It was at the conference hall of Mount Febe Hotel in Yaoundé that Minister Atanganji kickstarted the 9th edition of the program in the presence of other government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, and representatives of the United Nations agencies in Cameroon. According to Minad Bowles, the initiative put in place since 2014 by President Paul Biya seeks to assist persons in difficult situations by providing basic necessities to them.
I'm always pleased to launch this activity, which has been going on since 2014, and we have been moving together with our partners. We'll continue to move together, we'll continue to discuss, put all the issues on the table, find out solutions, and see how we can. The most important thing is to promote humanitarian assistance.
He noted that government has assisted citizens during challenging times such as the war in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon and Boko Haram insurgency in the far north region.
We've tried as much as possible. For the past 2 years, we have accompanied about 5,000 Nigerians who are going back. We have a lot of Nigerians, about 1,800 Nigerians, former Boko Haram insurgents who have put down their weapons and have integrated the rehabilitation camp in Mary, in the far north region, and we have worked with the governor of Borno State to accompany most of these Nigerians who were insurgents of Boko Haram but who have voluntarily put down their weapons. This is the same policy that the government is trying to put in place in the northwest and southwest regions, where we are asking the terrorists or those who are in the bushes to put down their weapons and integrate the DDR camps which have been put in place to assist them.
Considering that over 3.9 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance in Cameroon, it is hoped that the aid reaches the target population, especially those in remote areas. Now, Cameroonians have received with mixed feelings the 9-month sanction given the teacher who tortured a pupil some months ago in a private primary school in Douala. The teacher, alongside his accomplice who filmed, were fined 750,000 francs to be paid within 10 months. Nora Kakebi tells us more.
The primary school teacher who some months back tortured a pupil mercilessly has been sentenced to 9 months in jail. His sentence was pronounced today, April 15, by the Ndokoti Court of First Instance in Douala, the economic capital of Cameroon. On the other hand, the accomplice who filmed the despicable acts of the said teacher was also given a 6-month jail sentence. Apart from giving them the jail sentence, both men have been given a fine of 750,000 francs, which is supposed to be paid to the civil party within the time frame of 10 days. It should be recalled that the above-mentioned teacher was seen in some online videos torturing a male pupil, lashing him with a machete, hitting his fingers with a hammer, after which he gave the little boy some habanero pepper to consume. While some Cameroonians have received this news with joy and satisfaction, some others think that serving 9 months is not enough as punishment compared to the amount of torture and pain the little boy suffered from the hands of the heartless teacher. The teacher deserved much more sanctions than what the court gave him.
The body of a newborn baby has been found in a drainage at the Omnisport neighborhood in Douala by inhabitants of the area. This comes barely a few days after another baby was rescued after being buried by her mother in Bangat, the west region of Cameroon. Nsah completes the story.
The inhabitants of Omnisport neighborhood in Douala 5 municipality in Cameroon's littoral region are still in shock after the discovery of a lifeless body of a newly born baby with its umbilical cord still attached, dumped in a drain right under this bridge on Thursday, the 14th of April. The perpetrator not known, but those in the neighborhood believe she is not from the area. This eyewitness said.
I be at my house. My small brother come so I can't see, so woman not to pick inside the gutter. One can see picking for day, and I pick when the woman born normally. The woman born normally. No that thing where they talk say the piggy pusher. They seriously no, they need to check on woman. They are not sure say come on the spot. No, my neighbor no be get belly. No. My friend no be get belly.
The mortal remains of the baby were first examined by medical doctors before law enforcement officers stepped in to begin investigations, and later some elements of the Bepanda Gendarmerie collected the body and buried behind the Omnisport Stadium. This is happening barely few days after a similar situation occurred in Bagante, in the west region of Cameroon, where a mother of two, who just gave birth to her third child, buried her at a construction site. Fortunately, the cries of the baby were heard 48 hours after the evil act, and she was rescued by people in the area and taken to hospital for medical care. While the mother said, as an IDP, she was forced to carry out the act due to hardship and lack of finances. The phenomenon of neonaticide, where mothers give birth and kill their newborn babies immediately after delivery, has become commonplace in Cameroon. However, all young girls and women have been challenged to be self-empowered.
Cameroonian Dieudonné Evu-Mekwa is now the new chairman of the Development Bank of Central Africa for a 5-year term. The decision was made public Thursday, April 14, 2022 by heads of state of Central Africa Economic and Monetary Community. Simaga details with Emmanuela Moni.
The new BDAC president replaces the Equato-Guinean Fortunato Ofa Mbonchama, who has reached the end of his term. He will hold a position for the next 5 years per the rules governing the sub-region banking and financial institutions. Dieudonné Evu-Mekwa is a well-known figure in the economic world. He was Director General of the Autonomous Depreciation Fund, CAA, from 2005 to 2016. From February 6, 2017 to now, he was Vice Governor at the Bank of Central African States, BEAC. BDAC's portfolio in Cameroon consists of many projects, including the COVID-19 Response Plan project, the Mintum-Congo Border Road Development and Asphalting Project, the Kumba-Manfe Road Development and Asphalting Project, the Lompanga Hydroelectric Dam Development Project, the Atlantic Cocoa Corporation, ACC, Cocoa Bean Processing Plant Construction Project in Kribi. As of June 30, 2021, the bank was operating 42 programs in Cameroon, representing a total commitment of 336.243 million CFA francs. The public sector represents 60.1% of the operations against 39.9% for the private sector, that is 134.199 billion for 30 operations.
In the south region, a piece of land which had been sold since 2019 in Kribi is now a subject of lawsuit. In the midst of the ongoing dispute between the tenants and the landowners, the city mayor proceeded yesterday to demolish houses and property in the premises. Joingang completes the story.
It was a sad and gloomy Thursday for traders who inhabit this area called Ancien Amiral, not far from Carrefour and Baker in Kribi. The occupants of these premises woke up yesterday morning with a deafening noise from machines demolishing their houses. The tenants declared that they have never been notified of a change of contract.
Depuis 2009, tout cet espace était en plage, en matériaux provisoires.
I have been here since 2019. It was uncompleted by then. With the knowledge of the landlord, I completed the building, and the contract stated that any changes must be made, and the contract stated that any changes made must be notified 3 months before and written. He sold it in 2009. Meanwhile, I am still in the house. The land, which had been sold in 2019, is now the subject of a lawsuit. The last hearing had even been postponed. We don't even understand what is happening because the case is still in court. We were to have a hearing on the 21st, but it was postponed, only for us to wake up this morning and the buildings are being demolished. As explained by the neighbors, the new owner, who was tired of waiting for the son of the seller to officially hand him his property, turned towards the mayor of the city. However, all attempts to obtain the official version of the story from the mouth of the city mayor was in vain. In just a twinkle of an eye, the whole premises had been reduced to a heap of rubbish.
Now, the Navy of Cameroon is liaising with Brazilian authorities to revamp its fleet. This is in anticipation of the celebration of the centenary of the Federative Republic of Brazil. Miriam Gaket with details.
The Navy of Cameroon is on its way for a revamp. The initiative is led under the auspices of the head of state, Paul Biya. Brazilian authorities were part of the event, putting their expertise in play for the renewal and amelioration of patrol boats in a bid to ease the participation of Cameroon at the centenary of the Federative Republic of Brazil.
Deux de nos patrouilleurs hauturiers vont participer à cette grande revue navale aux côtés des grandes marines du monde.
Two of our boats will participate at this big review alongside other nations. Since it is the first experience, he came to launch the maintenance works that we'll have to do here in Douala. But the greater part will be done by cleaning our special boat we just acquired from China, given the fact that the trip will be long and tedious.
Qui est le dock flottant qui est ancré au port de Kribi. Donc on sortira ces bateaux pour leur maintenance, compte tenu du fait que le voyage est grand.
In this light, a total number of 70 persons, Navy personnel, doctors, journalists, amongst others, will for the first time sail through the Atlantic Ocean for a fleet review to be held at Rio de Janeiro from the 7th to the 10th of September 2022.
Trois gros navires que vous avez vus au quai 11 seront choisis à la fin de ces travaux par le contre-amiral. Et ce sont ceux-là qui auront la chance, pas seulement eux, mais...
We will choose out of the fleets you've just seen over there at the end of the maintenance session with engineers, personnel, doctor, and a good number of personnel. 70 persons will travel either by air or by fleet.
Donc il y aura des médecins, des journalistes, des plongeurs, il y aura beaucoup de monde. Donc ce sera à peu près 70 personnes qui iront par voie de mer et le reste viendra par voie aérienne.
It is a premiere for Cameroon and its Navy. While waiting for the due date, they have started implementing the acquired resources and making sure that it is a smooth sail for the personnel and the entire team concerned.
Still ahead, preparations have intensified for the premiere of the movie titled Bamboozler in Yaoundé tomorrow. In prelude to the event, the press conference has been held in Yaoundé, chaired by the producer of the movie, Dr. Babila Belinda. Center regional correspondent Colette Lung tells us more.
Bamboozler, a movie of an intimacy level stretched to a different limit. These were the words of Chidi Mukeme, great Nigerian actor, in a press conference in Yaoundé in prelude to the Bamboozler movie premiere slated for Saturday, April 16 at the Hotel La Falaise at 5 p.m. prompt. An intriguing, erotic, breathtaking movie with founder Dr. Belinda Babila, a universal movie with 30% Cameroonian, 20% Nigeria, 20% Jamaica, including whites in the act. An entertainment meant to change lives to eradicate societal vice.
Expect the unexpected. You know, we've pushed all the buttons, we've tried to stretch the boundaries. Like I said, the movie is dealing with topics that are global. The issues of domestic violence, the issues of illicit romance, the issues of crimes of passion.
Bamboozler, a movie of a lady in love who fell into the hands of a bamboozler. This movie has as purpose to raise funds and set up a multi-purpose training center for internally displaced persons in Cameroon, including youth, orphans, widows, street children, and empower many other persons. You have not started living until you touch another human life. says BBA Nigerian ambassador and celebrated Nollywood actor Zach Oji.
Come out en masse and support this initiative by coming to La Falaise where the premiere is holding, by making out checks, by supporting financially or otherwise.
Bamboozler has focused to curb domestic violence, abuse, betrayal, sexuality.
Center in Bunaberi, Douala, Mabanda. That's why we're really here today. Bamboozler has been trending. It's been the talk of the city. Again, it's the first ever movie for a cause that Cameroon is witnessing. We're not only doing entertainment, we're not only having you have social enjoyment, but while you're watching a film, you're indirectly supporting a vulnerable person. Vulnerable persons, I mean IDPs, I mean refugees, I mean widows, I mean orphans, I mean street kids, I mean anybody that's vulnerable. While you're watching the film, you will be inadvertently adding value to their life via the proceeds of you buying a ticket, or you sponsoring, or you partnering with us for the movie. Come Saturday, April the 16th, I'll really invite each and every one of you guys, if you've ever had any empathetic moment in your life and you're looking for a platform to support what has been happening in the Northwest and Southwest, and also, well, this is the time for you. We've created that platform.
Do not miss this movie premiere in Yaoundé tomorrow, Saturday, April 16th at 5 p.m. at Hotel La Falaise. Go grab a well-deserved ticket ranging from 5,000 francs CFA to 10,000 francs CFA, 15,000 francs up to 100,000 francs CFA, 500,000 francs, and what have you.
And on today's health page, we talk tuberculosis and pregnancy. Research shows that this disease accounts for one of the major complications women experience during pregnancy, which could result in miscarriage if not detected in an early stage. Bukwengo Worthy with details.
Tuberculosis in pregnancy is associated with a 9 times greater rate of pregnancies complications such as miscarriage, low birth rate, premature birth, amongst others.
Tuberculosis in pregnancy poses a serious risk of morbidity to both the pregnant women and the fetus if not diagnosed and treated in a timely manner. We have the effect of tuberculosis in pregnancy. Adverse maternal and neonatal outcomes are increased with inadequate treatment, advanced diseases, and late diagnosis of TB in pregnancy.
Worth mentioning is the fact that active and congenital tuberculosis cases in pregnancy may be difficult to diagnose due to its lookalike pregnancy signs and symptoms.
We have congenital tuberculosis, which may be transmitted from mother with an active tuberculosis diseases to the fetus transplacentally through the bloodstream. Although it is rare, it has the highest mortality rate. When a pregnant woman contracts tuberculosis, the disease is more difficult to diagnose because the symptoms such as fatigue, shortness of breath, sweating, coughing, or mild fever are similar to those symptoms of pregnancy.
While diagnosing tuberculosis in pregnancy may be difficult, it is important for pregnant women in all trimesters to get tested so as to reduce the risk of a miscarriage, maternal morbidity such as anemia, cesarean birth, preterm death, low birth weight, and most especially prenatal death.
We've come to the end of today's edition of Prime News on My Media, Prime Television. My name is Fon Quinter. Coming up next is Prime Hour with Kum Leonard and his team. Have a blessed weekend in the company of more programs on The African Eye. Good night.